Welcome to the Dr. Maria Show. It is July 11th, 2025. Current CIA Director John Radcliffe has now referred former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Director John Comey to the Department of Justice. Why? It seems that there's been some lying going on around Russian collusion. Let's go back in time to 2018, and here's what then CIA Director Brennan had to say.
John Brennan, I just wanted to ask you a couple of very quick questions. First of all, you just said you thought it was possible that the Russians had something on Donald Trump. You were director of the CIA until 2017. Is that speculation, or are you talking with information?
No, I'm saying that perhaps the Russians have something, and that's why Mr. Trump is concerned. Mr. Trump knows better than any one of us whether or not the Russians may have something on him. So I think it's very difficult to try to explain his behavior and why he has taken and adopted this position vis-a-vis Vladimir Putin personally. And so one can, again, speculate that maybe there's something there.
I never trusted John Brennan. There is something almost evil about that man. Here's how President Trump reacted learning about this new referral to the Department of Justice.
James Comey and John Brennan, now under criminal investigation related to the Trump-Russia probe. Do you want to see these two guys behind bars?
Well, I know nothing about it other than what I read today, but I will tell you, I think they're very dishonest people. I think they're crooked as hell, and maybe they have to pay a price for that. I believe they are truly bad people and dishonest people, so whatever happens, happens.
Brennan was dishonest with the American people, trying to deny that Hunter's laptop did not exist. In a leaked email, John Brennan verifies that the 51, as we call them, spies who lied, knew that they were signing a false letter and that the laptop did exist, but they knew it was going to enable the election and make Biden look almost sympathetic. Oh, here's everybody lying about his son, saying that there was all this criminal activity. Well, I tell you, it's not so much a Hunter Biden story as it was a Joe Biden story. And many Americans failed to see that, or they purposely failed to see that. Here, look at this clip about former CIA Director Mike Morrell.
Here is the news. Just a short while ago, Just the News obtained this email. This is a very important email. It comes from the former CIA Director, Mike Morrell. Yes, the guy that organized that letter from the 51 intelligence professionals who tried to fake you into thinking that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation when it wasn't. It is between him and John Brennan, one of the signatories. You know who John Brennan is? He was Obama's CIA Director, right? He's the guy that told Obama, hey, Hillary Clinton is doing a dirty trick on Donald Trump called Russia collusion. Well, this is just before the presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Hunter Biden's laptop is flinging out there. This is what Mike Morrell, former CIA director, tells his successor, John Brennan. Hey, sign this letter because I'm, quote, trying to give the campaign, particularly during the debate on Thursday, a talking point to push back on Trump on this issue. A man with a security clearance, a man with the title of CIA director, knew that he wasn't creating an intelligence product, a mere civic duty with 51 people. He was trying to create a political moment. Damning evidence. We'll try to find out if Congress has this letter, but this is a very important piece. It is the ultimate proof that what went out on that letter was a political dirty trick coordinated with the Biden campaign.
Well, there are not many investigative reporters anymore. Certainly, John Solomon is at Just the News. I really appreciate that. He breaks a lot of stories. He, unfortunately, was a victim, like anybody who was a truth seeker back in the day. the rampant media and the DNC would try to ruin you.
With everybody talking about making America healthy again, I thought today'd be a great day to talk to all my fellow patriots about the importance of making your homes healthy again. Well, we have proudly partnered with airwaterhealing.com and their revolutionary whole home air purification system. The V3 from Air Water Healing does 3,000 square feet of purification. It eliminates dust, mold, viruses, and odors. But here's the part I love. They require no filters to ever be changed and virtually no maintenance. Whether you suffer from asthma, allergies, seasonal bronchitis, or just want to protect your family from the flu or even greater threats, don't wait to get your V3 from airwaterhealing.com today. Use code Lindell for 20% off in savings and free shipping. That's promo code Lindell at airwaterhealing.com.
Friends, we all know the truth. Big Pharma and the federal bureaucracy have made a mess of healthcare in this country, and boy, that's an understatement. President Trump signed an executive order to bring prices down, and that's a great step. But we know that real change takes time. There's one pharmacy that is already stepping up. I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're not waiting. They're taking action now with a summer sale that gives you the power to take control of your health. Right now, through the end of June, you get 20% off site-wide, no insurance required. Did you hear that? 20% off, site-wide, no insurance required. They work with licensed doctors in all 50 states, and they ship fast, straight to your door. Whether it's ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, antibiotics, emergency kits, or your daily prescriptions, this is a time to stock up. If you believe in medical freedom, if you're tired of waiting for someone else to fix things, do what I do. Take action. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell and use promo code Lindell20, Lindell 20 for 20% off your entire order. That's allfamilypharmacy.com, Lindell. Promo code Lindell20. Let's protect our families, defend our freedom, and make America healthy again together.
Swollen limbs, joint pain, inflammation, skin aging, and cognitive decline. These are just a few of the awful side effects that you can experience due to poor blood circulation. And popping ibuprofen is not a solution to the pain. It's only temporary relief, and it's only masking the true problem, which is inflammation. Researchers are saying to add this Antarctic super nutrient to your diet. I'm talking about omega-3 fatty acids. But not just any form of omegas. These particular omega-3 fatty acids are sourced from wild-caught krill. Has been shown to support healthy blood pressure, circulation, brain health, as well as reduce inflammation, swelling, and joint pain. For a limited time, you can grab Native Path Antarctic Krill Oil for up to 66% off plus free shipping. Just go to getkrill.com/Lindell right now to get your special offer.
Tonight, we are live from Giuliani Studios on the seacoast of New Hampshire. Welcome to the show, Mayor Giuliani.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Maria, and thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Well, you have a nice studio here, by the way.
Well, you helped find it.
But I can't do a Russian collusion story without talking to Mayor Rudy Giuliani, because you investigated it. You were President Donald Trump's lawyer. What were the first inklings that this was a fake story?
The day I heard it, because I was with Donald Trump for the entire last part of the 2020 campaign. I knew everything he did. I knew all the telephone calls he got. And I knew immediately that it was the phony, crooked Hillary Clinton Democratic Party that had made it up. And then every bit of evidence I got after that, including long before I discovered the hard drive, I had 5 Ukrainian witnesses who could have put Joe Biden in jail for the rest of his life. But it was covered up by everyone, particularly the FBI. Without any doubt, the Senate didn't want any part of it. The Justice Department, oh my goodness. The Justice Department threw out one of my predecessors who tried to bring it to them and didn't have any concern with it. So I was maybe the only person in the country that was absolutely convinced that Biden had taken a $10,000, $20,000 bribe to fix a case at the highest levels of government, and it was entirely provable.
Before we get into that, which we will, I want to talk about the Russian collusion story in the fake dossier. You went looking for the origins of that fake dossier.
Sure,
where did it take you?
It was the easiest thing I ever did, pulling up that dossier. First of all, I hired Jim Comey. And Jim Comey is
This isn't a confessional.
I know. Well, I mean, I
know you feel guilty.
So I always tell Donald Trump, well, you hired Michael Cohen. We all make mistakes. So Comey should have been in jail 4 years ago. What he did to the FISA process is a disgrace to the United States. It endangers our national security. Any person with common sense reason in the Steele dossier would know it was a piece of junk. To think it was done by a trained, serious agent is ridiculous. I mean, I've read 1,000 intelligence reports. This was a comic book. Now, it turns out it was put together by the Ukrainians with Steele. Steele never went to the Soviet Union, hadn't been there in 17 years. So here's the issue, right? Under oath, Brennan has maintained several times, I never relied on the Steele dossier. I never pushed the Steele dossier. There are witnesses galore, including emails and affidavits, where he's saying, we got to get that we got to get that out. We've got to get it to people. They got it to McCain. They got it to the press. He's involved intimately in pushing it. That's called perjury. It's also called a conspiracy to remove a lawfully elected president of the United States on false testimony or on illegally procured information. They paid for that. They paid the Ukrainians to produce that.
DNC, people say Hillary Clinton.
It was Hillary's campaign money.
Hillary's campaign.
$1.1 million.
Do we have any proof that she was aware of it?
100%.
100%? What is that?
It means that she authorized the money to Perkins Coie,
okay,
and Perkins Coie paid Steele. It was laundered, in the way they claim that Trump committed that crime about the money going through his lawyer to Cohen, et cetera, which in New York is not a crime at all. That's exactly what she did.
Yeah.
She laundered the money through her law firm. They called it a legal fee. It really was a fee to create the false Steele dossier, talking about Russia, having nothing to do with Russia. Now,
let me stop you there. I got to ask that brilliant legal mind right there. Is anything illegal?
Everything is illegal.
Everything is illegal.
First of all, it's exactly the false campaign contribution they were charging Trump with. It is exactly the fraud they allegedly charged Trump with, except it's for money and for real, and somebody actually lost money. Third, it's in the case of Brennan, it's clear perjury. Brennan, as late as 2022, testified, I never pushed the Steele dossier. There is a plethora, large amount of evidence in which he was the main protagonist of that. Comey validated it.
Yes.
When that's a complete lie. And he admitted lying, and also the facts prove it. Now, as his boss one time, let me tell you what he did wrong. And as the person that helped invent FISA, let me tell you what he did wrong.
That's where I wanted to get to.
At the top of it, it says it's been validated. He says we never validated it, and you couldn't validate it.
So how can you bring it to a FISA court if it's not validated?
Because you lie. You claim it's validated. It says on top validated. At the bottom it has his signature. He made it appear as if it was validated. He never corroborated it. He said you couldn't. Of course you could. Michael Cohen said in it, they say that Michael Cohen went to Prague to meet with Russian agents. That was part of Trump's involvement with the Russians.
And all they have to do is check and see if he
All
traveled.
you had to do is call the passport office.
Yeah.
Even a half-wit FBI agent would do that. Comey, James Cardinal Comey, who is an absolute criminal, never called. He never went. Cohen never went to Prague. ever. Not that date, not the day after, not the day before, or ever in his life. That could have been corroborated with one single telephone call. They also claim to have gone to I think it was a Ukrainian office to get a visa in Miami. This is a very, very important part of how they were they were getting information of Trump. It turns out there is no such visa office in Miami. All Comey had to do to corroborate a very highly suspect informant was to call and find out that the guy was lying about the fact that there was a visa office. Now, why was he lying? Because Steele made it up. And a lot of it was written for him by the Ukrainians. Remember, nobody wants to remember this. The Ukrainians formally endorsed Hillary Clinton for president of the United States in 2016. The ambassador from Ukraine to the United States formally endorsed because, and I'll tell you why, because Biden and the president of Ukraine had whacked up about $20 or $30 million in bribes.
Which you knew about.
And the White House has the tapes, and they're still not releasing.
Oh, so you knew that not only from your own investigation, but when that repairman, that poor repairman in Delaware tried to give the laptop, did give the laptop to the FBI, concerned because there were crimes, said, you know what? It's been a year. Who's the number one crime buster in the United States? I'm going to give this to Rudy Giuliani.
He said I was the last person in America he could trust. Maybe that's not true, but he was one of the few.
But certainly in there validated what you were saying about all the crimes.
Every single thing on Ukraine was just extra evidence. I already had the case. On China, different. I didn't have all that information about China.
Okay. So you already had information on Ukraine, regardless of the laptop. The laptop confirmed it further, but you already had
if we had a trial, there were 12 witnesses that could testify in Ukraine.
But China, you learned something new with the laptop.
In fact, two top prosecutors could have testified on it. There's a money laundering transaction that goes from Ukraine to Latvia to Cyprus to the United States, where Joe Biden got a piece of it. The idea that Joe Biden never got any money is completely disproved by Hunter Biden's email that most people out there never hear about, because even incompetent Coomer couldn't come up with this, in which Hunter Biden says, I gave 50% of my salary for 35 years to my father. Now, what did Hunter Biden's salary consist of? Bribery payments from foreign countries, some of them enemies of the United States.
I think everybody believes you, Mayor Giuliani.
You don't have to believe me. It's on record.
It's on record. You proved it. You were the hero of the nation during that whole time.
No, I wasn't. I was just an honest man, like John Mac Isaacs, the repairman who the Bidens ruined. The Bidens are an evil group of people, right to the core. Right to the core. They're perverts. They're criminals. And I'm talking about the father and the son. The rest, maybe, maybe not.
Did you happen to see the report, the declassified report that just came out?
Sure, the declassified report is almost, to me, it's deja vu all over again, according to my philosopher, Yogi Berra. I mean, it shows without any doubt that Brennan was, to his heart's content, pushing the phony Steele dossier, which he knew was paid for by Hillary Clinton, and then lied about and said under oath several times, I never pushed it.
What are the exact charges? How does that work? You get a referral because you have evidence of a crime. So you make a referral to DOJ, and then the DOJ investigates
Well,
further?
if any of them ever have the courage to come to me and sit down, I'll show them how to put a RICO case together in a day. I have it all written out. I have it on charts. I've done it on podcasts. All they have to do is get up like trained monkeys and repeat the evidence. And you've got a potential 18, 20 defendants in that case. And you can do it 3 or 4 different ways. You could do it the easy way, the hard way. You could break it up into smaller cases. You could try to prosecute the lesser ones first to try to turn them. This is what prosecutors do. This is what I did, I think, better than anybody else in the 20th century. But a lot of people know how to do this. This is exactly what they didn't do, because starting with Hillary Clinton, Comey fixed cases. He is a disgrace to the Southern District of New York. They should take his picture down from the Southern District of New York and crash it on the floor.
They should certainly take
I
his
was the
law
U.S. attorney from the
away.
Southern District of New York. I brought probably bigger cases during my period of time than any U.S. attorney in the history of that office. And to me, I don't want to be associated with that criminal and that bum. He fixed cases. My God, the whole perversion of Comey began when he did Martha Stewart because he wanted to see his dumb face on television. And then when he made a big thing out of Ashcroft having to sign an affidavit that he should have signed. And then when he fixed Hillary Clinton's case, I mean, when I watched him do the Hillary Clinton thing and say no prosecutor would bring this case, I said to myself, man, this guy's a crook. There's no prosecutor that wouldn't have brought the case. Prosecutors never get cases as strong as somebody smashes up the evidence, gets rid of 33,000 emails, pays money to a guy to produce a false report. I mean, I don't know what evidence they needed against Hillary.
You know, I think that's why Americans got so demoralized. We saw the 51 spies who lied.
I didn't even mention that.
Who were once respected, put their names for what? We just saw in a leaked email that the then CIA director, Mike Morrell, did it. Put these people together just for a debate, to give a talking point for Biden. How can you give up your reputation, your profession? It boggles the mind, and I have a hard time wrapping my mind around that.
Brennan was approached by Morrell, who orchestrated. Well, yes. Blinken orchestrated.
Yeah,
Morrell
Blinken's
carried
a bad
it out.
Guy.
It was a totally phony document. A halfwit would have known it was a phony document because they did it in a day. Now, how can you determine that this hard drive that you have never seen, you've never looked at, has earmarks of Russian collusion when you've never examined it, you never thought about it, you just signed the letter, which is what Brennan did, and here's the giveaway to any prosecutor. Here's every group of liars comes up with a big blunderbuss charge. It came from the Russians, and there are 10 pieces of evidence that it did. And they don't give you one piece of evidence, not a single damn piece of evidence. It was all kinds of earmarks of Russian collusion. They couldn't mention an earmark of Russian collusion. To this day, if you put one of those lying bums on a witness stand, they can't give you an earmark of Russian collusion. And none of them believed it. And they all did it because they're corrupt. And they're the reason for 30 years of terrible intelligence in the United States, because those are the guys who run it. You want an explanation for why we thought there were weapons of mass destruction and we didn't? Those guys were the ones advising Bush.
Sure.
They're the ones that were advising Clinton. When bin Laden was saying, I declared war against you and bombs an American ship, they tell Clinton to bomb an empty field. So when you talk about a deep state and you want to get started on a deep state, start with those 51 guys.
Yeah, it's in our own backyard. What's ironic, Mayor, is Brennan had a lot to say about Tulsi Gabbard. Just watch this.
The integrity and objectivity of the intelligence community's analysis is a solemn obligation of all analysts to make sure that there's going to be no politicization of that analysis and that intelligence. And it's quite clear from the reporting that has come out that the direction that was coming from Tulsi Gabbard's chief of staff, Joe Kent, tried to manipulate the analysis so that it would, in fact, conform with what the Trump administration has done on Venezuela. And it's because these analysts resisted that interference, is the reason why they were fired. But also, this individual, Joe Kent, has been nominated to be the director of the National Counterterrorism Center. I was the first director of the National Counterterrorism Center. And it's critically important that the leader of that center really makes sure that all analysis that comes out of it is going to adhere to those requirements of objectivity and integrity. And this individual clearly is a partisan individual who wanted to, reshape the analysis again so that it wouldn't be used to undercut either Gabbard or Donald Trump. And again, it's just so contrary to everything that intelligence analysts throughout their careers, throughout their training, have been taught.
That's a total disgrace. Little Red Lying Hood, discussing it with a guy who, I don't know, every time he can come out on the side, he comes out on the side of the Islamic extremists, who he seems to have a great affection for, or the communists. So what is the Venezuelan government? It's a communist government. What was Tulsi Gabbard and her people trying to do? They're trying to combat a government that's communist. And what were the people they were trying to dig out that were hurting us? The people from his administration, because it was a communist administration, damn it. What are we, stupid? We can't figure out that that guy doesn't work for America? The whole Iran agreement? How about his boss, Biden, or his boss, Obama, giving cash to bin Laden? The CIA director didn't know that his boss was giving money to terrorists? I'm sorry, I said bin Laden. It would have been like giving money to bin Laden. He gave money to the Ayatollah. Obama gave hundreds of millions of dollars in cash to the Ayatollah when that liar was the head of the CIA.
That's right.
Did he ever report it? Did he ever stop it? Do you know it's a crime to give money to a terrorist? The reason I said bin Laden is just so people understand it. There is no difference to giving money to bin Laden or the Ayatollah. If I told you that,
Sure.
if I told you that Obama gave $100 million in cash to bin Laden, we'd probably, if we could, execute. If I tell you the Ayatollah, I'm just telling you a guy that was as big a terrorist and probably bigger, and killed Americans, and probably roughly the same number. That money that he gave was eventually used to kill Americans that Obama gave. Who was his CIA director? That guy. That guy
Brennan.
ends up every time, every dispute, he ends up on the side of the Islamic extremists like Iran and against America, like the agreement they did that would have made Iran a nuclear power, or he ends up on the side of the communists against America, like Venezuela.
Well,
I don't know. He only has to do it 4 times for me to figure out what the hell's going on.
I sure hope this time his CIA clearance has been taken away. I believe it has. Well, I'm going to have you on
The
standby.
president knows everything I know.
Yes, I'm
And probably
going to
a lot
ask
more.
you to stand by Mayor Giuliani as I go on to
Thank you,
another
Doctor.
story. Just last year, July 13th, 2024, in Butler, Pennsylvania, then presidential candidate Donald Trump was at a rally. Many people during the day were gathering in Butler. Thankfully, people are very astute and they know their surroundings. And they started to notice a young gentleman being very suspicious near buildings. They really couldn't point to anything in the beginning, just he looked suspicious. Well, they do what we ask anybody to do. They told law enforcement. Law enforcement started to keep an eye out for this gentleman. Then there was another report, still around 5 o'clock, that there's a guy kind of pacing around. Can't put our finger on it, but something's amiss here. Okay, we'll keep an eye out. There's some communication that there may be a suspicious person milling about. And around 5:20, police officers did notice this young man with a backpack and a rangefinder. What is he doing? Gets on the radio, alerts people, and lose sight of him until law enforcement around 5:40 spotted the man again about 20 minutes before the shooting, then lost track of him again. And at 6:02 p.m., Mr. Trump takes the stage. Nobody has alerted Secret Service, or if they did, the communication was so terrible, nor did anyone feel they were in control. Local officers said no. Secret Service said they are here, we are here. So a bunch of issues there. But the Secret Service goes ahead and lets Mr. Trump take the stage. Rally goers are really starting to get anxious as they watch this young man climb a ladder and go on a rooftop. There is such clear videos of this. You can go online and see it. The people did their job. They alerted authorities that a man is now on the roof. They see an AK-15 type weapon. It was a little bit of a distance, but they believe it's, an AR-15. And now the subject is lying down. The perpetrator is lying down. They are practically screaming on their heels. Somebody pay attention, please. Somebody pay attention. Around 6 11 or so, maybe a little bit before, a police officer, a local police officer, goes up the ladder. The young man's name is Thomas Crooks. Startles him. He looks at the officer. Officer claims he lost his grip on the ladder. He was not trying to retreat, but he falls down. Seconds later, 3 shots are heard. We know President Trump got hit in his right ear. He was just about talking about all the illegal aliens coming in at the border, and he had a screen. So there's been a lot of analysis about this. And if President Trump did not turn his head the way he did, he would have got shot in his brain pan. He would definitely be dead. It was only about 160 yards away. And 2 other shots. Unfortunately, former fire chief was shot and killed, and somebody else was in critical condition. Then you hear a rapid succession of 5 shots, and the Secret Service shoot him. Well, back in studio is Mayor Giuliani, who did a full analysis of this assassination attempt. Thank you for staying on set, Mayor Giuliani.
Well, thank you for having me, Doug.
So, Mayor, we didn't learn a lot about Thomas Crooks. 20 years old, got bullied in school. He had explosives in his car. He had a detonator on him to potentially do what? I don't know. Maybe distract when he made his escape. We don't know. He never detonated his car. But at his home, also, they found bomb materials. Then that's it. We hear he really wasn't on social media. He was on some gaming platform.
2 foreign ones.
Well, that's what we hear, but nothing more. Do you know anything more that the American public should know?
There may be things I'm more frustrated about than this, but I can't figure out what it is. On 2 occasions within 2 months, some people seem to want to kill the leading candidate for president of the United States. I was, although people may not remember, but I was the person who extracted Hinckley, who was the man who attempted to assassinate Ronald Reagan, from the Metropolitan Police and supervised his entire case as the 3rd ranking official in the Justice Department. I also reviewed the security for my boss, because I had happened to have breakfast with Ronald Reagan the day that he was shot. A photograph that was a treasure for my mother, the photograph of the breakfast, not the shooting. So I probably have the Hinckley case memorized. And I also have the security for a president memorized, because I did it thereafter for Ronald Reagan. And then as mayor of New York, I had to provide security for 2 presidents at least a dozen times, and security for world leaders every single year, when more of them come to New York than any place in the world. I think I know something about this. I will say this to you, and I think I can defend this. I do not believe that the people guarding Donald Trump during that day did anything right. I would challenge someone to come on your show or mine and tell me what they did right that day. Every single check mark, every single checkpoint that you have of security, they blatantly violated. Some of them are obvious even to, I think, a person who is not a security expert. The first thing, I think as just a common sense person, certainly as a security expert, that I look at, whenever I'm there with President Trump, when he was a candidate, when he's a president, I look up. Hey, when I was a mayor and I gave speeches outdoors, I looked up. And if I didn't see that roof covered, I would have stopped the event myself. The event would have been over. No event, president's not coming out. Tell me about that roof. There's no explanation for that. There's no reason that any of the agents that allowed that should be suspended and allowed to put another president at risk like that. That is an unexplainable, unforgivable breach of security. You got to be an idiot not to figure that out. People want to kill the president, any president. Trump in particular, had his own enemies, right? You give him the high ground? You give him, and you don't even look there? And you were alerted by the local police that there's a suspicious person around. I don't know if they told him he had a gun or not. They may have. They never find the guy. Here's another rule. When there's a suspicion that hasn't been resolved, you don't go forward. Was this ever told to the president? Was it ever told to his number one body man? I mean, if I were with him then, I was with President Trump when he ran for office 50 times in 2020. If I heard there was a guy out there that the local police were suspicious of and they haven't talked to him yet, I said, stop. Stop. We're not going forward. Their rules tell them to do that. They didn't do that either. Now, I'm going to tell you the one that I think you lived through with me when you heard my expression and I saw it. When I saw them bring him up, I said, what do they want to get him killed? They are trained
You mean after
to cover
the
his
shot,
body.
After the shots
Go look
were
at the
fired.
shot.
Yeah.
Go look at the shot. The guy already shot him. Remember, the guy got 6 shots off, even though there was an expert marksman. He got 6 shots off.
He actually failed in marksmanship. He wasn't an expert marksman.
Well, I don't know what he was, but he shouldn't have got. After,
But he did pretty darn good. He did do well. He must have been practicing from his days.
He didn't do. He actually didn't do well. He should have shot him the first time. First shot, he should have been out. He'd go back for training with me, and he wouldn't cover a president again.
Yeah.
Thank God it came out all right. By the way, he didn't.
We're talking about two different things.
I'm talking about the sniper. I'm talking about the.
You're talking about the sniper. I was talking about crooks.
I'm talking about the secret. I'm telling you, they never did anything right. Even the sniper didn't do anything right. Sniper's supposed to take him out on the first shot. The sniper should have taken him out before he shot. Sniper should have taken him out when he saw the guy on a roof with a gun.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Everything was done wrong. They never examined that building. The first excuse offered by the then head of the Secret Service, who was bounced, because it sounds to me like she shouldn't run, a 2-person police department, was they couldn't go on that roof because it was thatched. Well, how the hell was he on the roof if they couldn't go on the roof?
Yeah, it was
and how come now we see police on that roof all the time?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
So what are they doing? They're giving phony excuses. How about this? The next day, FBI gets into it. The FBI that tried to frame him 3 times is investigating his murder. FBI gets into it, and they say to the FBI, can you tell us any of the leads? No, too early. We haven't investigated this case yet. We haven't really investigated it yet. That's reasonable. Then they say, any evidence that there was a second person? No, absolutely not. No second person. Well, if you haven't investigated the case and you haven't looked at any evidence yet, how do you know there's not a second person? Well, because you're told there isn't going to be a second person.
Well, a year later, there's still a lot of questions.
I can go on and on. If you want to train Secret Service agents how to protect the president, take this case and tell them to do just the opposite.
Hopefully that's
How about meeting with the local police?
Right?
How about meeting with the local police? Now, I'm going to tell you, I protected presidents in New York City. I was the local police. Must have done it 30 times. You know what I would tell my police every time the president came? This guy is not going to get hurt in New York City. And when there was controversial, we had controversial people, like even Arafat, who I threw out of the UN. Let Arafat get killed someplace else, not in New York City. It ain't happening here.
Immediately, 6 Secret Service were suspended, but there's a lot of questions.
Why are they suspended?
What Mayor Giuliani was talking about is we hope there's after-action reports so things don't happen again. You hope to get together, as Mayor was suggesting, to say, where did we go wrong? We do this in traumas. We do this, it's called Incident Command Center. We try to get together and always improve where we're going. But let's take a look back at that terrible day.
And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
I was hoping it went a little longer. One of the things Mayor Giuliani talked about was when they were on the president, they should have, depending on their protocols, right? You take them right off or you stay on them till all clear. They allowed him to get up. Here we go. They allow him to get up. And yes, we love this chant. Our president saying, fight, fight. And the crowd said, USA, USA. They're not covering him. If there's a second shooter, his head is exposed. So there was a lot of things that went wrong. I'm
drives
with
me
you,
crazy.
Mayor Giuliani,
that drives me crazy.
The 6 officers or agents should not just have been suspended. They should have been terminated. I don't know where we stand today. I continue to hear that they're just still suspended after a year.
And why isn't,
I don't know.
And why isn't the report of what they said in their testimony put out? If they don't have a suspect, they're not going to prejudice anything. And do they have a suspect? Have they investigated it? They don't have to give us details to tell us that. Here's how you investigate a murder or attempted murder. I mean, you've seen it on detective shows. You take out a whiteboard like I have right back there, and I say to my detectives, I used to do it as mayor sometimes, because remember, I was a mayor who had been a prosecutor who prosecuted more murder cases than some of my detectives investigate. So I would say, who's the biggest suspect? Second, third, fourth, fifth. Let's clear them first. Now, it could turn out that the number one suspect didn't do it. But I'm telling you, you got to clear it. Because if you end up with an unexpected suspect, that unexpected suspect is going to defend by using all the evidence against suspect number one. If you've watched any movies, you've seen lawyers do that. These are things that middling homicide detectives learn to do. In a presidential case, not to who had the biggest motive? I hate to ask this, but I'm going to have you answer it. Who had the biggest motive to kill Donald Trump?
The Democrats.
Well, or Iran.
Iran, yeah.
Did they threaten to do it?
Yeah, yes, they
several
have.
weeks before.
Yes,
Did they attempt to kill me?
Yep.
Twice?
Yep.
Did they attempt to kill other Americans?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
They're not a suspect?
Yes. After President Trump in his first term took out Soleimani,
They threatened to kill him.
they threatened to kill him.
And in 2018, they attempted to kill me twice.
Yeah.
But nobody was interested in that.
Yeah. Well, this almost a year later, we hope and pray there's not only accountability, you learn from it, we get better. I understand one of the agents that was surrounding President Trump that day, the really tall man with sunglasses, is now head of the Secret Service. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That is correct. So we hope there's a lot of learning. We still don't know about Thomas Crooks. A friend of the show's, Congressman Tim Burkett from Tennessee, said it was very odd that almost immediately that rooftop was bleached. And the excuse was there was biologicals, right? There's probably brain matter, blood everywhere. So they bleached it. He found it odd. I'm using his words. They wanted to see, as an oversight committee, like, let's all review this, and the evidence was gone. So 1 year out, Monday will be the 1 year anniversary. We'll probably touch on it on my show on Monday, but we want answers. And who was Thomas Crook? And did Thomas Crook really have 2 foreign bank accounts? We'll have to see.
Well, Doctor, today we know almost the same amount of information we knew about 3 days after that, and about 3 days after the subsequent attempt at Palm Beach that was equally suspicious, with a guy who had traveled around the world.
Yeah,
we don't know anything.
Ukraine.
We don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about him.
Ukraine seems to be
These are the
behind
only
a lot.
people we know nothing about.
Yeah.
So you have countries like Iran with a motive. You've got Ukraine. I'm not blaming them. I'm telling you, this is objective and academic. Teach a class on detective work. You put the names of the top suspects down, even if it's your mother. You put the name of the top suspect down. If you're a good, honest detective, and then you work, even if you feel it isn't the right person, because you got to work your way through that. Very often in working your way through it, you find the real murderer.
That's right. Well, I cannot appreciate enough you having me on and allowing me in these great Giuliani Seacoast
my goodness.
studios.
You're a credit
Thank you
to-
very much. We're going to take a short break and I'll be back with you shortly.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at nirvantahealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to nirvantahealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally.
I'm pointing to Mike Lindell. That man suffered. That man suffered. The FBI thugs went up to him and they took away everything he had. He suffered. And Mrs. Lindell.
Then you guys come up and serve me papers in Colorado.
What is this? Sir, what is this? My pillow guy Mike Lindell says the lawsuit is a sham.
How dare him come and sue my pillow?
They went after him. It was just terrible. This was a vicious weaponization of your government. But he's all, I'll tell you, he stood up. He's all man. He stood up strong.
Do I think you guys and them are a traitor to our country by what you did to my pillow? Yes. We are made in America.
Lindell says he's lost hundreds of millions of dollars.
And nothing was going to faze him. And I want to thank you on behalf of everybody, Mike. You put up with a tremendous amount.
How do you guys sleep at night? You obviously don't have a my pillow. That's a fact.
He's a great guy.
Welcome back. There's a lot of information, not enough time on a 1-hour show. Another disturbing subject that I started to talk about on Monday on the Dr. Maria show, and that's hate in America. And we're seeing it in a number of different venues. Hates against Jewish people, hate against Christians, hate against conservatives. This one cracks me up. You're going to try to be violent towards someone because they vote differently than you. If anybody has a complaint about how people vote, it's it's the way the Democrats vote to kill babies up to 9 months, to allow anybody in our country to not care about our safety, to not care about our Constitution. But that's a side issue. I just want to get past the hate and somehow bring people together to seek to understand and listen. It doesn't mean you're going to agree. We may not change each other's mind, but we have to be civil. And on July 4th, a group of individuals ambushed the Prairie Land Detention Center in Alvarado, Texas, resulting in the shooting of a local police officer. The attackers, who are described as anti-law enforcement militants, are believed to have used fireworks to lure law enforcement outside before opening fire. 10 suspects have been charged with attempted murder and domestic terrorism, while 1 remains at large. Those figures have changed a little bit. They did catch an 11th person. A 12th is at large. They're saying, please do not approach this person, may be very dangerous. But the 11th person is kind of interesting. He was somebody that came into the country illegally under President Obama. I believe this is the one. Allowed to stay. Something happened under Biden administration where they continued to let him stay despite having a criminal past. And he was found with all kinds of anti-law enforcement propaganda. It reminds me of the early 70s when we had the Underground Weather Association, the Black Panthers, the SLA, all these very violent groups that hated the government. I can tell you I could not be more disappointed in our federal government, especially in the last 4 years. I felt we couldn't trust the White House. We couldn't trust the CDC, the Department of Justice, the Department of Health and Human Service. There was not one place I could look and say, well, at least these people are honorable and have integrity. But would I ever bomb a place, shoot a human being? This is not normal behavior. And the current Department of Justice has got to nip this in the bud so quickly, because we can't let this kind of hatred fester or this type of violence. It was so bad during the 70s. And it actually went into 80s a little bit. But you know the Capitol was bombed? Do you know that person was pardoned under President Obama? We must value life. And I always personally said we saw the devaluing of life with Roe v. Wade, right? I thought when we legislate that it's okay to murder your baby, and I thought it was the downfall of our society since. And then the craziness that happened under the Biden administration. You know, do whatever you want as long as it feels good to you. Let's kill our babies. Let's rape our babies and say it is minor attraction syndrome. Minor meaning M-I-N-O-R. We can't call it pedophile anymore. We can mutilate our children even though they're very confused. They're lonely. Their bodies are changing because of hormones. And it's popular to say you're trans. You're going to get a lot of attention from the Democrat-led media. But is it the right thing to do? How many of those children are suffering now? Chloe regrets having her breasts removed at 15, regrets taking male hormones because she's forever changed. That's one out of hundreds of stories. There's a morality to all of this. I do believe there's a fraction of the devil. We talk about Marxist ideology. Certainly we saw that and we see that to this day. But there's a bit of the devil at hand. And shame on you people who never stood up for not only the unborn, those that are living, those children who are alive today, who you pushed radical things on to change your sex. Give me a break. That is a mental illness. It's in our mental health books. It's called gender dysmorphia, excuse me. It doesn't mean you have to have a sex change. It doesn't mean you have to have hormones. And if you do suffer from gender dysmorphia and you're an adult and you want to do something, right? It's not against the law. Go ahead and do whatever. I have nothing to say about it. But leave our children alone. Thank you, as always, for joining the Dr. Maria Show. Let us know how we're doing. You can follow me on X at Maria Ryan NH, Truth at Dr. Maria. I'd love to hear from you, different subjects you want to hear about. And as always, have a safe and blessed weekend, and I will see you on Monday.